Hello, we are working Exam 1A from fall 2015. So this exam is out in Blackboard. It's the one we took, it's the very first exam we took way back when over chapters 1 and 2. And it's our exam. I know there's last semester's exams out there, but this one is our exam from fall 2015. So, if you took that exam, you may still have it. If not, it's certainly out in Blackboard, and you can print out the exam and its answer key and follow along. This is how you work these problems. All right, so I'm going to work problem 11 first. And problem 11 is just doing an income statement. Of course, now we've kind of got a little more advanced and beyond this now that we're at the end of the semester, but this is just a plain old income statement, not a multiple step. So it's not for a retailer, it's for a company that provides services. So basically, this kind of income statement is just revenues minus expenses equals net income. Very simple, basic income statement. So when you take the final, look and see if it's asking for a multiple step and it's a retailer of some kind that you're going to need to calculate gross profit, cost of merchandise sold, or is this just a regular service company and you're going to do an income statement. Right, so for this one, we have some accounts and the balances listed, and as usual, not all of this needs to be included. So we really need to kind of go through and sort out what are the revenues, what are expenses. At this point, it should be pretty simple, and you should be well on your way to recognizing expenses versus revenues. But let's just go through here. Vehicle expense, yes, of course, that's an expense. We're going to need that. Dividends, not an expense. Dividends are what we pay to the owners if we feel like it. If we have some money and we want to pay it out. So it's certainly not an expense. It's not something we have to pay for. So it goes on the statement of retained earnings. So we'll just draw a line through dividends. And if we do a statement of retained earnings, we'll use those. Receivables, accounts receivable, that's an asset. Assets always go on the balance sheet, so we're not going to use that. Accounts payable. Accounts payable are liabilities. Those go on the balance sheet. I'm not going to use that. Cash. Cash is an asset. Goes on the balance sheet. It's the first thing on the top left of the balance sheet. Draw a line through that. Detective fees earned. Yes, that's a revenue. We need that. Miscellaneous expense. Expense, yeah, we need that. Legal fee expense, we need that. Wage expense, we need that. All right, so we've got expenses and revenues separated out. Retained earnings. That goes on, we calculate it on the retained earnings statement, and then it goes on the balance sheet. So let's draw a line through that. So we got our revenues, we got our expenses. Recall that we write them in order, highest to lowest, except for miscellaneous. Even if miscellaneous is higher than one of the others, miscellaneous expense is always the last expense on the income statement. So let's do our income statement now with our revenues and our 4 expenses. And of course, I've already written the heading. So remember, your company that you're doing the books for, what you're doing, in this case it's an income statement, and the proper period. So this is for the month ended August 31st, 2015. And we start with revenues. And we only had one, detective fees earned. And that was $80,000. Okay, next we do expenses. And there's 4 of those, and we know we're going to list miscellaneous as last. So let's see here, what's the first? We got vehicles, $850, miscellaneous is $1,500, legal and wage. So wages are the largest, we'll put them first. Wage expense, $15,000. Then the next is legal fees expense, which is $10,000. Then the next is The next biggest one is miscellaneous expense, but we know we saved that for last, so we'll put vehicle expense. And it's $850, and then miscellaneous is $1,500. Total expenses are $27,350. So revenue minus expenses, we call that net income. Okay, and that's $52,650. So yeah, that's a very simple income statement, not a multiple step. It's easy, revenues minus expenses. Good luck with that if you have one on the final. Next video will be working problem 12.